Hey, I want to welcome you to the 5th episode of the Awareness Revolution podcast. Just so you know, you can find it on my website at theawarenessrevolution.com/5, and that's just the number 5. Also, this is probably one of the episodes that I would encourage you to watch the video of. You can listen to the audio and still get a lot from it, but we do have a video podcast which can be found on YouTube and on iTunes. And I'll actually be showing you the book so you can see the covers and everything too. You can see the video at the URL I gave you, theawarenessrevolution.com/5. And I will also have links to most of the books that I mentioned, so that way if you can't write them down or whatever, you can visit that page and see a list of most of the books that I mentioned, and there'll be links to Amazon where you can buy them for yourself. And most of them are really cheap. So I do recommend checking out that page. And before we get started, I also want to encourage you to check out my free ebook, The Awareness Revolution Primer. It's going to get you up to speed to let you know what the Awareness Revolution is all about, and you get it for free by simply signing up for our newsletter, which will also keep you up to date with the things that are happening in the world and the things that are happening in the Awareness Revolution. And a quick and easy way to sign up, you can go to theawarenessrevolution.com/newsletter, and you can sign up there.
The Awareness Revolution Podcast, where we bring you alternative views on big topics that affect just about everyone. If you want to improve your life and change the world, then stay tuned. You'll hear cutting-edge health, financial, and personal development strategies from a revolutionary perspective. Warning: listening may take you outside your comfort zone, separate you from the pack, and change the way you see the world. Here's your host, Jeremy Kinney.
Hello everyone, I'm Jeremy Kinney, and today I'm going to show you my book collection. I know it's a little bit nerdy. Even I remember 15 years ago or whatever, when none of my friends were into books, people would come over and I would just be so excited that I would show them my book collection anyway. It's kind of weird. But now, I'm getting older, more of my friends are into reading, and I've got this website and YouTube channel and everything like that, so hopefully I'm getting more and more people in my circle that are actually interested in this. So for the first time in my life, hopefully I can show off my book collection and people actually enjoy it and get something out of it. But with that said, I do want to point out that a lot of these books are newer books, and a lot of my book collection is gone that I used to have. So probably like 80 or 90% of my first 100 or 150 books or whatever are gone. I would loan them out to people because I would be really passionate about it and want them to read a book that I read, and they wouldn't read it and they wouldn't give it back, or other things like that happen too. So a lot of these books I haven't even read. I'm familiar with them because I'm familiar with the authors, or I listen to the lectures that's based on the book on YouTube. So I end up getting the book, but I just don't have a lot of time. So I find myself doing a lot of audio and video, and I would really like to read more. And maybe hopefully after doing this video, I'm inspired to fit it more into my schedule. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we're going to start off with the left side of the bookshelf and work our way all the way to the end. And over here on the left hand side, we're going to start off with the UV Advantage. This is a really good book. It's kind of old, I think written in the 90s, but the guy is the author is really knowledgeable when it comes to the sun and the health benefits from the sun and vitamin D and stuff like that. So it was actually a really good book. I read the whole thing and was interested in it and looking forward to the next chapter and all that stuff. So it really kept my interest for a book that for maybe a lot of people would be boring. But I used it, I used a lot of the stuff in it in my ebook, Gifts from Nature. on the section that I wrote about the sun. A lot of it comes from here and other sources, but we also have the Mars and Venus Diet and Exercise Solution, which is John Gray, the guy who wrote Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. This was a gift, along with Staying Focused in a Hyper World and Rise and Shine. All three of those books were bought at David Wolf's Longevity Now conference in California. I've got the fine print of self-publishing. That was also a gift. Then we've got The Case Against Fluoride. It's a really good book. I'm passionate about fluoride. They're dumping this toxic chemical that's a byproduct of largely of the fertilizer industry, and they're dumping it into the water. It should be it should cost money to be properly disposed of, but through the use of some junk science and a big PR campaign, they were able to take something that used to be a cost to them and actually sell it. So yeah, it's a really interesting topic. I'm passionate about it because water is essential to life, and it's not necessary. I mean, there's no nutritional need for fluoride in the body. And why are they putting it in the water? Why not put vitamin C or something that we definitely do need? Anyways, David Wolf's Eating for Beauty book, he said this is his best-selling book. Not particularly my favorite, but I guess, you know, people buy it because they want to be beautiful. This is my favorite David Wolf book, The Sun Food Diet Success System. That's the first book that I read of his, and it was really transformational. It really helped me in the early days of my raw food journey. This book, he said, was a good companion to the Sun Food Diet Success System, so I bought it. Not as good, but it was pretty cool too. That's why I've got them right next to each other. This is the root of Chinese Qigong. It's actually really scientific. You know, when you start reading it, you start realizing like, wow, this is really a lot of detailed science kind of stuff in here, and I was kind of impressed. But it's really thick too. It's not an easy like fluffy book, you know. But Supernatural, this is Graham Hancock's story about how psychedelic plants, particularly mushrooms, may have led to what made humans go from kind of like the caveman type of humans to the intelligent creatures that we are today. And it's based on these cave paintings that all seem to start showing up around the same time, and the pictures that they painted resemble experiences that people have on these psychedelics. So I mean, you see it's pretty big, and it's also based off of I think he was inspired originally by Terence McKenna, who wrote Food of the Gods, and then he was like, wow, well, if these psychedelics could possibly have been the cause of human evolution to make us these advanced beings, I have to look into it, and in order for me to really know, I have to try it. So he started actually trying psychedelics like ayahuasca down in the rainforest with real shamans and doing it proper, and really had a lot of big aha moments. And now he's convinced that it definitely has the power to do that. And there's lots of other people that report that kind of spiritual, mental, emotional healing that takes place, particularly with ayahuasca. It's been used for thousands of years, prehistory, for longer than we know. It's likely where religion comes from, because these people report meeting a goddess and having something happen. Like usually the goddess will come and help them in some way, give them insight or healing or something. So people want to just discount it all as just some trip, but if the person or experience or whatever is giving you a real benefit in your life, who cares? It's more real than a lot of things that don't give you any benefit. Moving on, this is what Graham Hancock is best known for, Fingerprints of the Gods. This largely inspired David Wilcock and a lot of other people. It's basically alternative history, the pyramids and these ancient civilizations and sites, and basically suggesting that these ancient cultures were much more advanced, much more further back than what our history books tell us. Entangled, he got this, this is also Graham Hancock, he got this as a vision during an ayahuasca ceremony, and wrote the story. It's fiction, but it's based on a lot of truths. Sandy read it, she really liked it. Graham Hancock said that he didn't want to be limited to like he would be in a nonfiction, so he wanted to be a little bit more experimental and just be able to write more freely. So he came up with this fictional book, Flood Your Body with Oxygen. This is a great book. Oxygen therapy is one of the most powerful healing therapies. In like the cutting edge cancer treatment centers, they use different forms of oxygen therapies. I actually had the biggest healing I've ever had with oxygen therapy. I was really sick from mold, and I was trying all these different herbs and supplements, trying everything to get better, until I realized that it was the mold. And then we got rid of the mold in the house. I was still sick. I took one bath in hydrogen peroxide. I didn't even have that much. It was just whatever I had left in the bottle. Not as much as you're supposed to put into a bath, which is 2 cups of 35% to start off with. But it was enough to where I woke up the next morning and I was better. And over time, over the next couple weeks, I got worse again. So then I ordered a big batch of peroxide to see if, in fact, that's what made me get better, which I knew because I was sick for like a year. And then one bath the next morning, I was not blowing my nose. When I woke up, I was back to normal. So then I ordered a bunch of peroxide, and the same thing happened again. I was sick. I took another bath, and then boom, I was fine again. So oxygen therapy is powerful. It's real. And this book, you see, it's quite thick. You can get it really cheap online, and it gives you directions. It gives you lots of stories and history that you probably won't get anywhere else. It's a really good educational resource. The Creature from Jekyll Island is it's a classic book in its field by Edward G. Griffin. It's basically about the Federal Reserve, and it explains like wars and the bankers that funded both sides and stuff like that. All right, the earthing book is about earthing. It's also known as grounding. Basically just getting your bare foot, preferably, but even your hands against the ground, even a tree. And it's because the earth conducts its own energy, and it's full of electrons which can be donated to you and act as antioxidants to neutralize free radicals. It does a lot of different things. There's a lot of health benefits to it. There's even science behind it. They show you pictures and stuff like that. So the book is really good. We got it for free when we ordered some of the earthing products. I'll be creating a video and post more about that, but if you want to learn more about earthing, it is in my ebook, Gifts from Nature, so check that out and you'll learn all you need to know about it in there. Sodium bicarbonate, which is basically baking soda, and baking soda is really cheap, and if everything that Mark Serkis is saying in this book is true, it's basically a miracle cure. I mean, if you look, I only got this far through it, a little bit less than half of the way, and it was enough. I was like, okay, sold. It's really good. Like they were saying that it's what keeps cancer patients from dying from the chemo and conventional cancer treatments. I mean, it's really good against cancer and all kinds of other things, and it's really cheap. That's why people aren't really trying to sell it to you, because there's not much money to be made in it. It's so cheap. But look into that. World-class speaking, overcoming welfare, it's just about economics. We want to find a solution for it, and people think that the solution is more welfare, but no matter how much money we throw at the problem just keeps getting worse. If you incentivize people for being lazy and not working, then that's what they're going to do. So it's just interesting. It's a topic that I'm interested in. Time Power, Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is one of the greats, managing time, or better yet, managing what you do with your time. This is a really cool practice. You basically hit yourself do iron body training, and you toughen your body up. It's good for people that do martial arts and stuff like that, but it's also done for health reasons too, to give you stronger bones. What you do is, when you hit yourself with this device, then what happens is the pores supposedly open up, and then you do qigong, and you basically direct the qi into your bones. And really interesting. This is an entire book written about medicinal mushrooms. This one's about chaos theory. I haven't read it yet. Joel Osteen, old book I've had for a long time. The Immortality Edge. This guy, he was involved with the discovery to lengthen telomeres, which are a good indicator of your lifespan. Really big health breakthrough. Only a small part of the book is about that, but I read the whole book because I met him at the longevity conference with David Wolf. Lick the Sugar Habit. This is just on WordPress. These are from the Rich Dad series. Guide to Invest in Gold and Silver, Other People's Money. This book tells you how to get other people's money, like to put up as capital for your business ideas. And this book, you can tell it's been read. This book is one of my favorite books ever. Rich Dad's Guide to Investing in Gold and Silver. The title is a little misleading, I guess, or for lack of a better phrase, because the book is about much more than that. It goes into monetary history and everything, economic history. It explains gold and silver and why he thinks that they're the best investment. And I'll tell you what, I was sold. I've been investing in pretty much nothing but silver ever since I read that book. And I believe the price is going to skyrocket one day. And it's already been 9 years since he wrote it. I read it right when it came out. And so we're 9 years closer to that day, whenever that day is. But that's probably the only book that I've ever read and could not stop reading. I'm at the stoplights and I'm trying to read another paragraph. I just couldn't read it fast enough. I devoured that book. And that's the only book that's ever did that to me. The Age of Speed, Self-Publishing Manual, The Secret Life of Plants. It's got some really interesting insights on the plants. Path of Empowerment. This is by Barbara Marciniak. She's better known for some of her other books, but she channeled from the Pleiadians. It's kind of a long story, but we actually know a guy, Ken Rolla. He lives near us, friends of ours. He used to join her for some of her channelings and stuff like that, and said she was the real deal, especially back then, before the Path of Empowerment book. But you know, when she really started getting big into it, she was the real deal. So anyway, this is just a book marketing book, Conversations with God. Someone told me that this book was really good. We watched the documentary or the movie or whatever that's based on it, so I got the book because it was really cheap. Haven't read it, but he also channeled this book, which I thought was kind of interesting. Secrets of the Soil. These two books, The Secrets of the Soil and Secret Life of Plants, are considered really good gardening books. And this is another Brian Tracy book, Advanced Selling Strategies, The Holographic Universe, Michael Talbot. That was one of the pioneering books on quantum physics. This is just a book on cells, juice fasting. This juice fasting book really helped kick off my health passion. I was struggling with it at first and trying to eat salads, trying to eat better, and I would eat a salad, and 15 minutes later I'm like, I'm starving, I gotta eat a hamburger, and I would go eat a burger. Well, after I did my first juice fast, eating a salad was like eating a steak, and I was full, it tasted different, and life has been different ever since. Food of the Gods by Terence McKenna. This is what I was talking about. That's related to the Supernatural book written by Graham Hancock. Love Without End, Acupuncture, Qigong, Reclaim Our Health by John Robbins. Synchronicity, Launch. This is an internet marketing book. Message of the Sphinx, which is another Graham Hancock co-authored this. Basically, the Sphinx shows evidence of water erosion, and water erosion didn't happen until, it was like over 10,000 years ago, and they want to tell us that the Sphinx and all this was built 4,000 or 5,000 years ago or something, and they're saying that it's much older, and you can tell by the water erosion. Secrets of Self-Employment, Wheat Belly. This guy says even if you eat a little bit of wheat, it's still really bad. ABCs of Real Estate Investing, The Wellness Revolution, saying because the baby boomers are getting older, they're going to need more health solutions. Here's a health book, Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, and that is the treatise on healthy fats, understanding the nutritional aspect of fat in your food. Mastering Miracles, about Qigong, protecting your number one asset. That's basically like copyrights, LLCs, and stuff like that. Superpower Breathing for Energy by the Bragg family. Paul Bragg, who started the health food stores, was really healthy all the way into his 90s. He ended up dying because of Western medicine. Everyday Greatness by Stephen Covey. Natural Highs, she tells you how to use, basically, a lot of it is amino acids to balance out your brain chemistry and just make yourself happier and feel better. A lot of good information in there, and useful tips for people that have different things from addiction to depression, stuff like that. Psychic Warrior, this guy is doing basically astral travel for the government, for projects that are not on the books. Time Traps is another self-improvement book. Showing Up Naked. And over here on the end, we've got 33 questions about American history that you're not supposed to ask. I've just recently started following Tom Woods, and luckily he just moved where I'm at in near Orlando, so that's pretty cool. So I got that book. It's one of his books. He also recommended this, The Economic Laws of Scientific Research, showing that there is a great bias with research when it is funded by the government. I just got it. This is just about shooting video, and this one is The Return of Sacred Architecture. Now, this is really interesting to me because I want to build my own dream home. I've wanted that since I was a teenager, and I'm just looking at the different ways of doing it instead of just getting one of these cookie cutter homes in a little subdivision where the neighbor is 6 feet next to me and is going to complain about my bass when I'm listening to music at 3 a.m. But anyway, you know, not only do we want just a house with land, and do we want it to be natural so it's not emitting all these VOCs into the air and stuff like that, you know, but we're going to do all these cool things to make our house really cool, really unique and healthy, green, natural, sustainable, but also considering different architectural structures such as the pyramid and whatever else, because the pyramids have amazing energy, and I don't think this is something that's just very well known and understood or even valued. But if you're going to build something, might as well build it right. And this book, I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. It's a Shang Han Lun. It's probably way off, but it's a book on Chinese medicine. My girlfriend Sandy is an acupuncturist, so that's one of the big books in the field. Another acupuncture book, Holistic Dental Care. It's a really good book. Renew Yourself, Chinese Herbal Legends. This is the Zen and Art of Writing. Empty Harvest, Raw Chi. 3 Days with the Goonies. I'm a Goonies fan, the movie, so I've got that one. The Cosmic Conspiracy. This book is actually the book that got me into conspiracy stuff when I was 16 years old. My friend's dad set me down, and he had this book and cherished it. Said that the guy, you know, wrote it and disappeared or something like that. He's not in hiding anymore, but some of the stuff that he wrote, like I remember he told me that I don't know, he just told me some stuff that rang true, and a lot of it has come true. Like he said something about the money it's gonna start coming in different colors like other countries, so they can make the money start looking alike, so that way they can have one world government, stuff like that. And since then we have had other, you know, we've had money that's colorful like Canada's and stuff. Well, this is Jeff Cohen. He's an attorney, entertainment attorney, but he was Chunk in the Goonies. So when I met him, I bought this book. I don't know. This is a filmmaking book of, you know, for the law. True Power of Hydrogen Peroxide. Again, I'm a big advocate of it. This is largely about using it in your pool, which is one of the next goals of ours, is to get off chlorine, the saltwater cells and stuff like that, and start using peroxide instead of having a pool that's bad for you. Have a pool that's good for you, and it's better for our plants too, because our garden is right around our pool, which what they say in the book is that plants hate it, and I believe it. Our plants don't do as good as they should out there. So yeah, and this is sacred and herbal healing beers. That's a really big interest of mine. If I had more time, more money, what I would love to do is brew beer, brew it the way that he mentions in here, and actually create a beer that is healthy, that has a better feeling, a better effect on you. This is internet marketing, herbs, the Book of One, emotional wisdom, for good and evil, which is basically the history of taxation. Reparenting yourself, that's really interesting. So I'll just go through these books really fast. The Last Hours of Ancient Sunlight is one worth noting. It's a really popular book. It's alright, I didn't think it was as good as everyone said, but The Magic of Believing, that's worth checking out. Getting Things Done, this was highly recommended. It has great reviews. I read a little bit of it, and it does seem like it would definitely help. I definitely need it. Just doesn't, for some reason, doesn't, I don't know, just seem like me. The structure of what he recommends. Sleepers, based on the movie. These are movie books, Goonies and Hunger Games, just random books. Book I read as a kid. Rich Dad's Conspiracy of the Rich. Real estate book, How to Build a Real Estate Money Machine. It's an old classic. Here's a cool book, Ormus, Modern Day Alchemy. It shows you a bunch of different ways of making Ormus. If you don't know about Ormus, it's definitely something worth looking into. Sea Energy Agriculture. This is about using very, very dilute ocean water, just a drop, like a homeopathic. They found that that does really well, but just a little bit of ocean water mixed with your agricultural water, it really benefits plants. China Studies, the famous book about the largest study ever conducted on nutrition. I think like 30 years or something like that, and basically the author, he started off promoting protein in his career, because that's what like the biggest thing in nutrition was, and later on he concluded that the meat and dairy products are causing cancer, in particular the casein, which is a protein in milk. He said that's causing cancer. Another interesting thing that he found was that the aflatoxin, which is a toxin that's in peanuts, also causes cancer. I hated hearing that, maybe even more than the meat, because I just like peanut butter cookies. I ate a lot of peanut butter and jelly as a kid too. I ate a lot of peanut butter. Kevin Trudeau's More Natural Cures Revealed, interesting book. The first book, Natural Cures, was the book that really started me on my health journey, and this is the sequel, Transdermal Magnesium Therapy. It's really interesting if you're nerdy and interested in like specifics and how the body works, because it's all about magnesium, but you'll learn what magnesium does and learn a lot about health and the body in the process. Influence, this is a book on cells, another earthing book, Healing Intuitive, wedding video book. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This is a lot of like music production books. .com Secrets, that's a good internet marketing book. Healing with Magnets. Unlimited Power, famous book by Tony Robbins. Over the Top, famous book by Zig Ziglar. He actually autographed that book for me. Celestine Vision, it's a popular series. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this shelf. Let's go ahead and look at the next one. Actually, you know what? I do have to point out one more book. Well, I'll put out this one too. The Miracle of MSM. MSM is a really good supplement. That's a book telling you all what it does. But I wanted to point out this book. This book is really interesting. The Most Dangerous Superstition. This was given to me as a birthday gift by a good friend. And it basically, the most dangerous superstition is the belief that we need government. So basically this guy is an anarchist, which doesn't mean he wants chaos. It means he wants peace, but he believes that with government we have chaos. And even if you don't believe that, you know, it sounds crazy. It's a really compelling book. He makes a very strong argument for the case against government, and it's a small book, and I think, you see, I've only read 52 pages of it, but I mean, long before you get to page 52, you're pretty convinced. I mean, it's really well laid down, and when you realize that the argument against government is that strong, it really makes you question things. So I definitely recommend getting this book. Everyone should at least read it, whether or not you agree with it or whether or not you agree with it when it's over. You know, it's still important to understand that viewpoint even exists. I guess while I'm here, I'll point out a couple more before I go. How long do you choose to live? That's an interesting way of wording it. I like it because it is a choice, a question of a lifetime. That's by Peter Ragnar. Peter Ragnar is a senior citizen that's extremely strong, has really, like he has a video where he has a wild bear dropping off its cubs with him, like to babysit, because he's just that connected with nature and living creatures. I mean, the guy's amazing, really good memory. And this is my last and newest bookshelf. As you see, I still haven't even filled it up yet. I actually was running out of space in the other room, so I started using this as a bookshelf, and I can't wait to fill it up. But this is just a wedding MC book. That's what I do for a living, DJ photography and video, mostly for weddings and other events. So yeah, the science and the Akashic field, which is getting into quantum physics. It's basically, I won't get into it here, but it's pretty interesting stuff. Infinite energy technologies, superfoods. This is another David Wolfe book. It lists his top 10 and 15 superfoods around the world. Of all the books that I've read of David Wolfe, this is the one that I refer mostly to. For some reason, it's just a good reference book. I get back into looking at the different superfoods, some of the nutrients in them, and it's just interesting to me. The Bulletproof Diet. We've been drinking the Bulletproof coffee for a while now, so the diet interests me. I still haven't did it full on like the book recommends for 30 days. I was thinking about doing like maybe a 30-day challenge or something like that. Let me know if you guys find that interesting. But the coffee's certainly good, and I like his idea of biohacking. It seems good. Falconelli is another book about alchemy. Really interesting stuff. Supposedly this guy disappeared and basically was able to leave this earth without dying. That's the legend. It's just interesting. Not something that I'm full on learning about right now, but something that I'm interested in. I got interested in it because of David Wolfe. It was recommended by David Wolfe. And I think if we're going to get into the point of immortality or the next level, then alchemy is probably the way to get there. And I'd imagine that there's a lot more that we don't know and a lot that we knew that was lost over time. Now, the Source Field Investigations. This is an excellent book. It's about metaphysics. It's about a lot of science that we don't know exists. It's new to the Western world, coming from Russia. They weren't open and telling us this stuff. Now they're open about it, and we're tapping into their body of knowledge, and there's just a lot in here. This is so packed full of information, so interesting. It's hard to believe that the stuff is even real, but if it is, then wow. Frequency. This is a really good book about the power of personal vibration, basically saying that people have their own frequency. It's just interesting. I'm not going to get into it and make this video any longer than it already is, but if that sounds like something that you're interested in, you might want to check that book out. Living Energies. This is an excellent book about Victor Schauberger. He was considered, at least by David Wolfe and a lot of other people, to be a really great mind. He was a naturalist, but he developed implosion technology, which could possibly lead to infinite energy, which is discussed in this book also. But he was also the water wizard. This is another book by the same author, written about Victor Schauberger. And it looks like a cute little water book. I was like, oh, I love water. I'm so fascinated, want to learn about it. So I'm going to get this book and learn. Yeah, this book is really scientific. Oops, sorry about that camera bump. I'll just read a random page, you know, and just to give you an idea of some of the, well, like he says, taking Victor Schauberger's exhortation, comprehend and copy nature, that's one of his philosophies, as our guide, we should therefore make use of the shapes that nature herself selects to contain, guard, and maintain life, eggs and their derivations. I can't even say the word. But you see, I mean, when you get over here, it's really scientific throughout the whole thing, and it's just a simple book on water. I don't know, I'm just reading randomly. Providing the surrounding soil is not impervious to water, a hole of suitable dimension, depth, and capacity, say 1,000 or 2,000 liters, should be dug about 5 to 10 meters from the banks of the dam or river. If possible, the depth should be above the highest water level. I skipped a line. But I mean, you'll see, it's really, really interesting, and will give you another perspective on water. You should look into Victor Schauberger's work if you're interested in gardening naturally, water, free energy. It's amazing because we all have this high technology, and it's interesting to think that maybe we're doing it wrong. Like the explosion technology where we have to use a piece of the Earth's resource to create energy, you know, they can always sell us something because we need a chunk of something or this resource for energy, but implosion, you don't need that. And so there's nothing to sell. So it's not a profitable model. Anyway, The Book of the Damned by Charles Fort. This was also brought to my attention by David Wolfe. I had it on my wish list until I heard Jordan Maxwell talk about how important it is. And it's just a bunch of anomalies, from what I understand. I just recently got it, finally. After I heard Jordan Maxwell talking about it, I was like, you know what, this book keeps on popping up, I've got to get it. And it's just a bunch of things that shouldn't happen, should be impossible, and yet they happened. They're just stories, it's a compilation of different instances where random things happen. And they're kind of unexplained. I'm interested in that. The School Revolution by Ron Paul. I've got an ebook coming out in the future about the school system. Interested in that. We just started my daughter and Ron Paul's school curriculum, which is really cool. I didn't like the school system when I was young, and when I got older and started researching it, I found out why. The Revolution by Ron Paul. I'm a Ron Paul fan, if you can't see. I think he's great, especially for someone in politics. You know, it's rare that you get someone in politics that, you know, that I really like, and Ron Paul's about the only one. And he's retired now, but too bad he didn't become president. Oh well. Entangled Minds by Dean Radin. That's also about quantum physics, about how our minds are all connected. Very interesting stuff. Expert Secrets. This is the same author, Russell Brunson, internet marketer, very successful, highly regarded in the internet marketing field. This book just came out. But it looks like, and because it's very similar to the other book that he wrote, .com Secrets, that was out there. Get Scrappy. This is another internet marketing book. Altered Genes, Twisted Truth. That is about GMOs. This guy didn't really want to lead the crusade against the GMOs, but he just found himself learning this stuff, and no one else would do it. He was an attorney, so he ended up using the Freedom of Information Act, and I forget, something like 400,000 pages they ended up getting, and you know, the government and these organizations did not want to give up these documents, and they really fought tooth and nail to not give them up, and they were ordered by the court to give them up. So they found a bunch of information that you know, really exposes the scientific fraud that took place by getting these GMOs to pass. I just got this book, I bought it used, but I've only read a little bit of it. But it's supposed to be a really, really good book, really important book. It's a little dry for me, so I'm gonna have to take it little bit by little bit. It is a really big issue, and it's new, and this would be a really good case against GMOs. cure tooth decay. People report actually being able to reverse cavities. If you read the reviews on Amazon, people swear by it. We're really into the tooth care because teeth are important, not just for looks, but you got to keep them forever. And if you make bad decisions with your teeth, then you can go to a normal dentist and they will mess up your health trying to fix your teeth. So you want to take care of them the best you can on your own without a dentist. Louder Than Words. This is another basically online marketing / self-improvement book. Spontaneous Evolution. And this is really fascinating. I really like the premise of this book. This is one of the ones that I really would like to read. I haven't read but a few pages of it. But it's basically saying that, and this is a big part of the awareness revolution, is this theory basically about how we're all going to just at one time spontaneously just become highly advanced and much more conscious and stuff like that. I'll read a quick little story. Inherent within all living organisms is an innate drive to survive, known by science as the biological imperative. Contrary to what conventional science and religion has been telling us, evolution is neither random nor predetermined, but rather an intelligent dance between organism and environment. I don't want to read all this, but just look it up. It's really interesting to me. I believe that what he's talking about is really the case. I believe that we are headed for a big shift in consciousness and just another chapter of humanity. I'm going to make a post about this with links to these books so you can find them. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get some of these books, read them yourself. Leave a comment and let me know what books you thought, that popped out and sparked your interest, or what books you've read, what you think of them, what books you intend to read. Let's get a conversation going about these books, because books will change the world. There's a lot of knowledge hidden in these books, and we're not taught about it in the media, we're not taught about it in school, and it's just sitting there waiting to spark the minds of young people that are going to control and play a big role in the fate of humanity and the earth. And hopefully you are one of those minds.
Thanks for tuning in to the Awareness Revolution podcast. Be the change you wish to see in the world.